This
came in.
conference will now be recorded.
Okay, very good. Let me get to the top of the list here. To the agenda.
Matthew, you want to come in what you said? Lunenburg? Yes. It's a plan.
Okay, very good. I call the meeting of the Montechusett Regional Planning Commission for Thursday, September 9th, 2021 to order at 7:01 p.m. Welcome, everyone. The first thing will be to go through the roll call. I'll start on my list from here, and now this is just all participants, not just MRPC members. I have Kayla Kress.
Yes.
And then we have the Montechusett RPC, which consists of Bob from Gardner, Matthew from Lunenburg, and Jonathan from, is it Air?
Jonathan Kranz from Air. Yes.
Okay, very good. Then I have waiting for a name. We don't have a name yet. We have Alan Pease, Brad Harris, Paula One, which is me, Chris McNamara,
Here.
Guy Corbacero, which is me, I'm here twice, Holly Ford,
Present.
Don Telepiak,
Here.
Linda Quinlivan,
Here.
Rick Ward from Winchendon,
Here.
Roger Hoyt,
Present.
and Stacy Donahue,
Here.
Veronica Kell.
Here.
Okay, very good. I think that covers everybody. Did I missing anybody?
Guy, would you mind saying who is in the office? Who is there in the office? I missed that and I need it for.
Oh, okay, very good. Actually, we have the chairman, not the chairman. We have Glenn Eaton, I imagine, is in the office. Then we have Bob Schwartz from Gardner. Matthew, I'm sorry, Matthew, your last name? From Lunenburg.
Okay.
And Jonathan Krantz from Air.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Okay, very good. So that's basically introductions. Does anybody have any announcements with anything to do other than what we have business tonight? Not hearing any, we'll move on. Okay, next item on the agenda is the approval of the August 5th, 2021 MRPC minutes. You received those a few days ago by email. I don't know if you've had a chance to review them. Do you have any questions or comments in regards to them? Okay, not hearing any. I would entertain a motion to accept the minutes as printed.
Bob Schwartz, move to approve the August 5th, 2021 meeting minutes.
Very good. And do we have a second?
Second from Alan Pease.
Okay, very good. We have a motion to accept. Do we have any other discussion? If not, I will call a roll for a vote to accept the minutes as printed. I'll start with the Those in the office, Bob Schwartz,
Yes.
Matthew,
Yes.
and Jonathan Krantz.
Abstain, I wasn't at the previous meeting.
Okay, very good. Then we go to our list of people via Zoom. Alan Pease. Then myself on the list, Guy Corvacero, yes. John Telepiak.
I abstain. I wasn't present.
Okay, very good. Roger Hoyt.
Yes.
Stacy Donahue.
Yes, sorry, slow with the mute.
No problem. Veronica Kell.
Abstain. I wasn't present at the meeting.
Okay, very good. And that's everybody I have on the list. I don't think I missed anybody. Hopefully not. Okay, next item on the agenda is the cash schedule. Since our treasurer isn't here, who would like to take that?
I'll do it, Guy.
That's Linda Coleman-Living.
Yep.
Okay, very good, Linda. Please go forward.
Okay, so this is the cash schedule for the month of August 2021. The total opening balances are $341,727.94. I want to clarify a discrepancy. The opening balance of the debit account differs from the closing balance of the debit account from last month by $40. Because we don't get the actual bank statement for several days after month end, we use the bank online app, and the transactions can be pending up to a day or two at month end. So that $40 was really in a pending mode. So anyway, I just wanted to clarify that. We've got cash receipts, of $297,702.18. And if you notice, there was we got a $44,788 deposit from Kevin Jarvis. He hadn't paid for the last year, and then he gave us a big 12-month check. So that made our balance in the EPA jump to $224. So that's our cash receipts. We have cash disbursements of $130,000, $169.52. And that includes 2 payrolls in August. And that's giving us a balance for this warrant of $509,260.60. And that's it.
Okay, very good. Any questions of Linda? Not hearing any. Did I hear somebody or? No, if not, I would entertain a motion to accept the cash schedule as presented, subject to audit.
So you have moved to approve the cash schedule as presented, subject to audit.
Okay, very good. And that was who again? I'm sorry, I missed that.
Alan Pease.
Okay, very good. Do I have a second?
Seconded.
And who would that be?
Jonathan Krantz.
Okay, very good. So we have a motion, a second to accept as printed or as presented. Any other questions? If not, I'll call the roll. Again, in the office, Bob Schwartz.
Yes.
Jonathan Krantz.
Aye.
Matthew from Lunenburg.
Aye.
Okay, Alan Pease.
Aye.
Christopher, no, I'm sorry, staff. Guy Corvacero, myself. Aye. John Telepiak.
Aye. John Schleppenbeck.
Roger Hoyt,
Aye.
Stacy Donahue,
Aye.
and Veronica Kell.
Aye.
Okay, and it is accepted unanimously. Next item on the agenda is item 4, which is administrative matters. And so I guess this is you, Glenn. You're up.
Sure, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Before we get into item 4.1, I want to do a quick follow-up to Linda's presentation on the cash schedule. A couple of days ago, Linda also presented me with an update for the revenue for our current fiscal year, fiscal 22, that's this past July 1st. When the budget was adopted in June, I think it was June 3rd, we had a conservative revenue estimate of $1,711,582. As of September 7th, her revenue projection now stands at $1,833,027. This is an increase of $121,845, or 7.1% over the original conservatively low revenue estimate. This was due to Ms. Quinlivan's estimating what our beginning balance would have been in June versus what we actually billed from June of this year. The actual billing numbers were different. Just as a quick aside, so that's what happened. We build a budget for the June adoption for the upcoming fiscal year. We do our best to have based on what we think is going to happen in April, May, and June for the June meeting. And then when Linda can look back at real expenditures for July and August, she can see and then compare estimates. So we are always presenting conservatively low revenues and conservatively high on expenses. That's what we've been doing for at least more than 2 decades that I've been here. So that's good news. This will lead this is background for a couple of resolutions regarding hiring in a little while, and then moving the fiscal assistant from part to full time. The other item that I want to throw into the minutes, and by the way, Holly, a quick note out to you. I have these notes and I'm reading verbatim from a Word document. I'll email this to you so you'll have these for the minutes, just so you're aware. So item number 2 is a new grant award. Karen Chapman, the Planning and Development Director, informed me today via email that the MRPC was awarded $80,500 from the Mass Department of Energy Resources for a Regional Energy Planning Assistance, or REPA, or REPA grant, as we refer to it affectionately. MRPC's Planning and Development Department will provide grant application assistance, annual grant reporting tasks, community greenhouse gas calculations in a couple of buildings and one property or one year, actually, services inventory to 12 of our 23 local jurisdictions. These are, in case you're interested, and some of you are here tonight representing those city and towns, these are Ashburnham, Athol, Groton, Harvard, Hubbardston, Lancaster, Royalston, Shirley, Templeton, Townsend, and Westminster. Quick aside there is that when Karen Chapman was hired about 5 years ago, she looked at the green communities map for our region and noticed that we had holes. Not all our communities were designated as green communities. It's because of Karen's effort that any community that wasn't designated 5 or 6 years ago is now designated, and she follows up and provides those services to the communities. The bottom line with green communities, if you're not familiar with it, is if you're on the local side, it's money. It's money to you after you get adopted, designated a green community to fix it. It's brick and mortar stuff. You might be buying a cruiser or a truck. You might be putting LED light bulbs in school buildings. You might be swapping out a new furnace in the town hall, something more energy efficient. So that's the practical application, and that's the crux of what MRPC work with our towns and have them save money in addition to all the planning services as well. So I just want to, again, Holly, I'll give it to you by email. I'll send it to you tonight. You'll have it for the minutes for next week. I can move on to 4.1 if you're ready.
Yes.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to do takeaways. I'm going to remain silent on some of these items, and then just do some summaries of some of these. I'm not going to read everything verbatim. Item 4.1 is an update concerning our COVID-19 space management and safety. It's an informational item. The takeaway here is that we're ramping up office safety. Folks who are visiting and all the employees know that I have mask required signs everywhere, in the PowerPoint here in the atrium. with information. It's basically we're following the CDC guidance, the federal guidance, and I extended it a little bit to go from 6 feet to 10 feet to wear a mask. Because I'm not a scientist, but Delta is out there, and I just want to make sure that our people and their families and our clients are as safe as possible. That's the gist of 4.1. Chairman, you want me to keep going?
Yes, please. Go at your pleasure.
You got it, thanks. Item 4.2, update regarding House 48, an act relative to non-Commonwealth entities within the state employees retirement system information. Excuse me, we've been fighting this for a while, several years. We have legislation that's been written, and we are working with about 9 or 10 other regional planning agencies in the Commonwealth and at least one Council of Governments to have us have the retirees from all these RPAs and COGs stay in the state retirement system and have them be paid for by the state budget process versus having the RPAs pay the bill. We did receive an invoice. MRPC's bill was over $1 million or $1.1 million recently. We couldn't even write a check for that. So this is being basically addressed in the legislature. We hope that we can get through the process. 4.3 is about the Shirley as a lead community FY19 Community Development Block Grant. There are 2 issues here. We'll have a hearing with the Board of Selectmen in Shirley, I think it's October 18th. Excuse me, we'll go over status of the Micro Enterprise Assistance Program, or MAP. That's a small business grant program. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. And we'll talk about the continuation of the Food Banks Assistance Program. There have been very few applicants for the MAP program. We believe that this is due. There have been so many federal funds put out on the street for small. This was put on the street late last year. A lot of businesses went other ways, such as payment protection program and other programs that were available to businesses. Some of the applicants have said that it's too complicated a process to get through, and I think we have one that we're actually looking at seriously out of the 20 or 23 applicants that we have. I think there are just too many dollars on the street, so probably these funds, about $223,000 of the $280,000 or $270,000 grant will probably not be used, and will essentially return those funds. Technically, that's not true, but we won't draw that. So that's the subject of that hearing on the 18th in Shirley. On 4.4, update on strategic planning for the Montezuma Regional Planning Commission and its affiliate, the Montezuma Enterprise Center. The project is on hold until we've gone through some more staff transitions. Very quickly, we have other people left in the June window, and we have hired a part-time fiscal assistant, and we also have elevated Karen Chapman from senior planner to planning and development director to follow John Hume and to succeed John Hume. The bottom line is that now we are advertising for a principal planner, a regional planner, and intern or interns to fill the voids. Basically, the principal planner would be the person that we would use to put in Karen Chapman's slot, former senior planner. Regional planner, we may or may not hire, depends on funding and need of workload that we have. Intern or interns, I know we need one for the Economic Development Administration of our COVID grant, and we may need another one in the planning department to help with other programs, projects that are ongoing. So the advertisement is out there. It's been up for about a week or 7 or 10 days. I lost track. It's about a week. A future resolution to actually hire people would come back to the commissioners for approval of salary in person. So that would be in the future. That's not tonight. I talked about objectives about filling people. Okay, then the interns on the bottom of page 4. I talked about the interns. Here's the gist, folks. I'd like to bring up the pay rate for the interns from $13 an hour to $15 an hour. Basically, would go into effect after the vote. So it would for the next beginning of the next payroll period, September. Here's the gist. Caleb, if we go to the top of page 15 for me, please. You'll see a table. I just copy and pasted this out, and it's in your handout also that I'll email about yesterday around 11:40. This is what the state's doing. The law is January 1, 2021. The wage went up to $13.50 for standard minimum wage. Don't look at the tipped minimum. That's restaurant workers. January 1, 2022, it would be $14.25, and January 1, 2023, it would go up to $15 an hour. There is a labor shortage. I'm worried about getting interns, although a Dynamite resume just came in today and I was thinking, oh my God, can you start tomorrow? So that's a good thing. However, objectively to the commissioners, we have two options. We can follow what the state rate is and just go to $13.50 now and then $14.25 on January 1st of 2022 and then $15 on January 1st of 2023. I would just like to pull the trigger, just get it up to $15 an hour. Now, if McDonald's is hiring at $17 an hour and offering $500 signing bonuses, I think we need to be a little more competitive. The last thing I will say on the interns rate is that I ran a calculation, and if we ran from $13 an hour, $13 an hour is in our current compensation plan of 2020. Yes, I did say the right year, 2020. If we went up to $15 an hour, an intern works about 18 hours a week on average, or maximum actually. An intern getting $15 an hour at 18 hours a week would make $270 a week. 26 weeks would be $7,020 for that 26-week period, compared to about $6,084 that they would earn under $13 an hour, or $63.18 under $13.50. The bottom line is, if we go from the 13 up to the 15, and keeping all those variables the same, the difference is $936. So if we had 3 interns on times 936, we have about $2,700 to $2,800 in the budget. That's something that we can absorb charging directly to contracts. That I just want to make sure I did a financial analysis, and that's on the table. The resolution is be it resolved that the Montezuma Regional Planning Commission will compensate its interns at an hourly rate of $15 an hour. I say in there commencing September 9, 2021, but I'd like to change that to September 20, 2021. If Linda Quinlivan, I think we calculated this, the next payroll begins on September 20, and Polly, I see Polly nodding. So I'd like to change the 9 to the 20, and that's the vote on that. If you're willing to put it on the floor and vote on it, that's what I'm requesting this evening. Over to you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Glenn, on that. Now, we have a resolution that he proposed to $15 an hour. I don't know if anybody has any comments, but I have to mention that I had a nephew. I tried to interest in an internship here at MRPC, and he said, you know, why should I go for that when I can get $20 an hour working landscape for the summer? So the market out there at $13.50 is pretty low even. So, you know, that's my point of view on it. I think 15 is not too high. Any other comments? Not hearing any comments. Would anybody like to move the resolution?
I'll move the resolution. This is John Telepsiak. I'll move the resolution with the date changed to the 21st.
Okay, very good. Thank you, John. Do I have a second?
Please.
Thank you, Alan. So I have a motion and a second. Do you have any more discussion?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Glenn.
I want to clarify, Mr. Chairman, that John Telepsiak said 21. It's actually the 20th, okay?
Okay, very good. And I thought I saw somebody wanting to say something. Maybe I was mistaken. Guess not. So if there's no other comments, I will call the roll. Those in favor, let's start with the Montezuma, the offices. Bob Schwartz.
Aye.
Matthew Brenner.
Aye.
Jonathan Krantz.
Aye.
Okay, then I go to my list. Alan Pease.
Aye.
Guy Carvaso, myself, aye. Jacqueline Doherty.
Aye.
John Telepiak.
John Telepsiak, aye.
Okay, Roger Hoyt.
Aye.
Stacy Donahue.
Aye.
And Veronica Kell.
Aye.
And I just want to note here that I am reading off a list that doesn't change, so you can kind of get the idea. If I say Roger, Stacy's going to be the next person up, just for general knowledge. It's this list of people that I have. Okay, very good. Back to you, Glenn, on 4.4.2, and that passes unanimously.
Thank you. Thank you. So the gist of 4.4.2, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners and staff, is that, so we have Christopher McNamara, who's a fiscal assistant, working with Linda Quinlivan as fiscal director. Chris is, or Mac, as he's preferred to be called, is part-time. We'd like to move him to full-time to assist with financial operations. There's work to be done. Background is that Linda Parmenter, Administrative and Human Resources Director, retired on the 29th of June. Linda was providing a significant amount of work, assistance to Linda Quinlivan. In the fiscal office, we had a vacuum. We knew we needed to hire someone. We hired Mac at the end of fiscal 21, and we put in the budget for this year for part-time. Knowing that we would probably have to go to full-time, but we wanted to play with it, to have a conservative budget, and then if we had the revenue coming in, that we would go up to full-time. The speech that I gave you after the schedule about a better revenue projection, pardon me, for the for FY22. Sorry, so sorry. Basically, the administration, we're recommending to the commissioners that we provide more money in the budget to compensate Mac from 18 hours a week up to 37 and a half. Essentially, it doubles the money in the budget. I'll give you numbers in just a second. His hourly rate would remain the same at $23.69. Currently in the budget, it's about $22,790 for 18 hours weekly. We would need another $23,000. Basically, we go up to 37 and a half. It's virtually double. It would go up to $46,196. So it essentially doubles the amount of money that we need, and add another 23 to the 23 we have. For the benefits line item, this isn't just about salary. We do have benefits. For the benefits line item, which is primarily health insurance, Linda estimated that it would be up to $7,000, depending upon what Mac chooses for benefit for healthcare. And then when a full-time employee, all full-time employees also accrue leave time benefits, sick, vacation, and personal time for bereavement and inclement weather. So that estimate for the fund leave time would be $6,751.65. The resolution is be resolved, MRPC approves of the change in status of Mr. Christopher McNamara, fiscal assistant, from part to full-time status. The new annual salary being $46,195.76. That's $46195.76. And the all other charges to the FY22 budget are here approved as printed in the above report. That's the lead time and the benefits. So, Mr. Chairman, it's over to you, sir.
Okay, very good. We have a resolution here that Glenn just read, and I just want to point out, if I'm not mistaken, on a quick look, that would increase to approximately 36,500 additional monies for the benefits and the leave time and all that. Is that what the increase will be in the budget for this item?
Your math is very good.
Okay, very good. I think Glenn already read the resolution. Any questions in this? Not hearing any. Do I have anybody that would like to move the resolution?
Bob Schwartz, move for the resolution for hiring a full-time fiscal person.
Okay, very good. Move Bob McNamara to full-time. Okay, move the resolution. Do I have a second?
Roger Hoyt, second.
Okay, very good. Roger Hoyt seconded. Any more discussion on this or questions? Not hearing any. I will call the roll. So go ahead, John.
So the salary would be the 46,000 plus, and then there'd be another 14,000 in benefits or something that would impact our budget.
Right,
Okay,
that would
ahead.
be 7,000 for the benefits line, and another 6,700 for leave time, etc.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions? Not hearing any, I'll call the roll. To approve this resolution, I'll go to the MRPC first. Bob Schwartz,
Aye.
Matthew Brenner, I didn't hear Matthew, but
Aye.
I'll go. Okay, very good. Jonathan Krantz.
Aye.
Okay, then I go to my list. Alan Pease.
Aye.
Guy Corvusero, myself. Aye. Jacqueline Doherty.
Aye.
John Telepiak.
John Telopsiak, aye.
Roger Hoyt.
Aye.
Stacy Donahue.
Aye.
And Veronica Kell.
Aye.
Okay, very good. And I just want to mention, I'm glad to see that 3 people are in the office. That's up 2 from the one last time, so we're slowly getting back in that direction. Okay, very good, Gwen. The resolution passes unanimously. So please move on to 4.5.
All for voting affirmatively, and thank you, Mr. Chairman. 4.5 is just a meeting reminder for the
Did we lose you, Gwen, or?
I'm not talking loudly enough, which is unusual for me. Sorry. Thank you, Kayla. Thank you, guys. The 4.5 is just a meeting reminder for MEC. We'll have an annual meeting on Wednesday the 29th. It'll be virtual. The MEC officers, board of directors members are the people on the MRPC executive committee, plus at least Bob Biaggi and Rebecca Biolecki. That's all I can think of right now. But it's just a meeting reminder. That's it. I can move on to 4.6 whenever you're ready, sir.
I'm ready.
Okay. Housekeeping additions, actual 4.6 and 4.61 and 4.62. Mr. Chairman, on 4.62, still dealing with personnel transition, so I'm going to ask for a deferment on the flexible work policy. I still need to sit down with Holly and do the edits to that. The work policy is in place, it's already been adopted, but I haven't presented it in print yet, so I got to come back to that at the October meeting, just a quick FYI. 4.6.1.
Okay, great.
4.6.1 housekeeping edits. Basically, I'll read the resolution, then I can hit the highlights really quickly. Be resolved, MRPC hereby approves of a budget not to exceed $3,000 for improvements. You are going to be able to see the screen just so you know more. Be resolved, MRPC hereby approves of a budget not to exceed $3,000 for improvements to the MRPC's personnel policies and employee procedures handbook. The commissioners will receive monthly reports from the executive director concerning progress and expenses toward this project. Now, here's the gist, folks. So about a meeting ago, it was August, I provided you all with a spreadsheet of doing housekeeping, I call them, edits primarily in the personnel policies and employee procedures handbook for the MRPC, its employees and commissioners. I requested a quote in early August from Employers Association of New England, or EANE, to provide us with a cost to help us with updates. The work from EANE would involve reviewing the existing handbook, reviewing proposed by the administration, and ensuring compliance with applicable personnel laws and regulations. Received a quote with $1,395 plus $125 per hour for any work that would happen above that. Now, just so everyone's aware, so I have authority to sign contracts per a vote taken back in 2007 when I was promoted to ED. But in this case, I would like a motion that we set a limit on this budget at $3,000 and that I come back with periodic updates. The gist of this is that I don't want to do the personnel policies alone. If I hire our attorney, the cost would be greater. Not that he wouldn't put it under his nose, or I wouldn't put it under his nose for final review. EANE is the company out of Agawam that we subscribe to now for HR support services since the retirement of Linda Parmenter. our HR and administrative director that retired around June 29. So there's specialists in the field. I can't remember what we pay. It's around $850 or $1850 a year for EANE. I don't recall right now. They have very good services. We've used the hotline several times to ask simple questions. No cost for that. It's a great outfit, and they provide this service for a small fee. I think it's worth it. This would come out of our consultants line item, which we put a little bit more money into this year. I think it's okay, but I don't think it's going to be a budget buster in that line item. So I just want to proceed properly with an expert looking over our shoulder to make sure that we do this. The last time we had someone work with us on policies and handbook, employee procedures handbook, was former attorney Mark Goldstein, who was former legal counsel, who's now Judge Goldstein, and this 08, 09 era, so it's been about a decade ago. It's time for an overhaul, and thus the request tonight. That's the background of what's going on here. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Glenn. And I got to say, I think it will probably be money well spent because in this litigious society we have now, we got to make sure all our I's are dotted, T's crossed, and we can't be experts in all things. So just my comment. Any other comments from the members? Questions?
Want a motion?
That's up to you folks.
Mr. Chairman, Laura Schifrin. Move the
Oh, welcome,
resolution.
Laura.
I've been working.
Oh, okay.
I'm at the facility. I'm not on Zoom.
Oh,
Can you hear me?
no. Yes, I can hear you good now.
You're going to need to project just so
Do
you
you have
know.
a question, or do you just acknowledging you're here?
No, I was moving the resolution.
Oh, very good. Sorry, didn't hear it. You spotted in and out. Okay, very good. We have a motion from Laura. Do I have a second?
Jonathan Kranz, second.
Okay, very good. Jonathan, second. Any other questions or discussion in regards to this? Not hearing any, I'll call the roll. And again, starting with people, members in the office, Bob Schwartz,
Aye.
Kathy Brenner,
Aye.
okay, Jonathan Krantz,
Aye.
and Laura Schifrin.
Aye.
Okay, very good. Now I'll go to the roll. Alan Pease. I think I heard an aye there. Guy Corvacero, myself, aye. Jacqueline Doherty.
Aye.
John Telepiak.
John Slupchak, aye.
Roger Hoyt.
Roger Hoyt, aye.
Okay. Stacy Donahue.
Aye.
And Veronica Kell.
Aye.
And the resolution is passed unanimously. Very good. Let's see, 4.6.2, 4.6.3, Glenn.
Chairman, this is just a friendly reminder. Just took a vote at the last meeting in August. This is the calendar. I just wanted to put it in again, just as a reminder. Our meeting calendar. That's it. And I can move on to 4.6.4 if it's okay.
Please do, Glenn.
Well, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Excuse me. I had missed the August meeting. I'm just wondering, have we assigned a new executive committee? Was that ever finalized? Or are we still
We took a vote on
I
that.
think we have.
Yeah, we have an executive committee. We took that vote in June.
Oh,
And we can provide that list to you, John, if you need it. It's not a problem. I can do that tomorrow.
well, sure. Sounds good. Thank you. Carry on.
Yes, sir. 4.6.4 is the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, or EPA, monitors the brownfield site assessment grant. This is just information. This program is winding down. This is a 3-year grant term. Will be done, let's see, this September 30 would make the end of the 2nd year in the 3-year grant term. We want to wrap this up by December 31st of this year and apply for more brownfields funding. There's some cleanup we have to do, no pun intended, for brownfields. Our consultant, the gist of the money here, folks, is that the $300,000 that comes into MRPC, roughly $250,000 or $243,000 goes to the consultant to do environmental site assessments, what we call phase 1s and phase 2s in the real estate world, 21Es. So they've done a lot of that work, and we're winding down on some good projects. There's administration we have to do. It's quarterly reporting, holding meetings, community outreach, and uploading information to a tool that's mentioned in the first paragraph, and it's known as Assessment, Cleanup, and Redevelopment Exchange System. That's the EPA system to collect all information that's been studied through all these grants, the assessment grants, the cleanup grants. None of the information required to be entered into the data. For $5,000 to do all the acres work we need them to do. The admin side will have about $4,100. We charge time to that to get all the quarterly reports.
Glenn, we're not able to hear you.
Yeah? Okay. Just let them know.
You're breaking up.
I'll go to the other. Thanks, Caleb.
Are you talking, Glenn?
I think
Not yet.
to another area.
Oh, okay.
Can you hear me now, Mr. Chairman?
We can hear you now.
Okay, very good, very good. Thank you all, I appreciate that. Sorry about the volume, folks. Let me do this again. I'll do it quicker. We need a consultant under the EPA brownfields to do work, to upload information to the acres database, which is assessment cleanup and a redevelopment exchange system. I think there's someone down the federal government. Brad and I have had this conversation. I think there's someone down there that comes up with acronyms and words for us. We're going to use Beta Group, our existing consultant, to get that work done out of the consulting line item. We have money to hire them to do that, to finish this task that wasn't done by prior staff. I have to do quarterlies. Technically, 4 quarterly reports weren't done. A 5th one is due. I talked to EPA, and I can do this. It'll take some time. They just said, just do 1 quarterly for the prior 15 months. We'll do this. The bottom line here is that we have enough money to finish this work, to have the consultant do the acres work. MRPC staff will do the quarterly reports. That's just an admin issue. Anybody who's interested in the brownfields group or the brownfields work, you can call or email me anytime. A brownfields group meeting will be held at 3 p.m. on September 16th. So that's next Thursday in the afternoon. And we'll discuss this in more detail and how to close out the grant and go for more grant funds. That's the gist of 4.6.4. That was just information. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I can move on when you're ready.
Very good. If no other question, please move on, Glenn.
Winding down. There's a lot of narrative here. I'm going to hit 3 highlights. Kayla, if you could go to the bottom of page 9. First takeaway is that we're going to be pursuing an Economic Development Administration grant. We're calling it Future Industrial Lands Analysis, or FIL or FILA, however you want to pronounce it. We're going to apply for $400,000. Right now, under the most recent Build Back Better federal legislation that was legislation that is now an act, the BBB Act, there's $500 million in a pot of money that the EDA has for economic development planning, and we want to pursue it. The goal of this proposal at the bottom of page 9 would be to provide information concerning the availability of infrastructure in areas zoned for industrial use, with superior highway access and other amenities. The information will be provided to the public and private sectors to facilitate industrial land development and development to create additional manufacturing opportunities in our region of the Commonwealth. The information could also be used by local planning officials to identify new areas for future industrial growth. The second point before the resolution is that we would apply for, hang on just a second, folks. We would apply for $400,000. We would leverage the grant proposal with the $100,000. We can take that money out of the state allocation of district local technical assistance funds that we get every year. We get about $207,000 each year. The detail in this paragraph is on the top of page, actually on the bottom of page 10 and the top of 11. So the resolution basically says we'll apply for 400. Over 2 years, we'd use the money. We'd leverage it for 50,000 in the upcoming fiscal year, and which that money would be available around December, January, and then another 50,000 in the following fiscal or calendar year. The resolution: be it resolved that the MRPC understands the importance of providing information concerning public utilities to facilitate appropriate industrial development in our region, to spur the expansion of private sector businesses that will create high-paying jobs, especially in the manufacturing sector. MRPC will submit the Future Industrial Lands FILA proposal to the Economic Development Administration, or EDA, under the EDA's Economic Adjustment Assistance, or EAA program for $400,000. MRPC will provide a 20% match of $100,000 over 2 years, which will include $50,000 from this agency's state allocation to our organization of DLTA dollars in FY22 and 23, and which is program year 15, and then the other 50,000 from the future allocation of DLTA in FY23 and 24. Right now, which is unusual, but it's good, we're not required to do a cash match of $20,000. However, there's going to be a lot of competition for this money, and I'm recommending that we at least put the olive branch out there to the EDA and say we can match the money. Under the DLTA program, we can do this work, so they match up. That's the gist of it. There's a lot more stuff. I just don't want to bore you. If you have any questions, there's 2 or 2.5 pages there of report of background. Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Okay, very good. One quick question, Glenn. This $400,000, that will be coming in, and we will be providing services from the MRPC for that. So that basically will be $400,000 coming into our coffers for $100,000 we put out. Is that what I'm understanding?
That's the bottom line fiscally over 2 fiscal years. If we can use 50 of our cash to get 200 of theirs for a year, and then another 50 to get another 200, yes. So over 2 years, 400 divided by 2. And this is work that we're starting to do under DLTA. We're starting in Ashburnham right now, and we're going to go out to some other communities using DLTA funds and then grow this. This is an application that we've written twice, submitted twice. It's been rejected, but now there's much more money, and we'd like to strike while the iron is hot.
Very good. Any questions from the board members?
Yes, this is John Sluptak. So that $400,000, we're competing for it, right? That's not guaranteed.
No, this isn't an entitlement grant, which are guaranteed funds. This is a competitive funding round.
Oh. All right.
They've never had this much money, so we're hoping for better luck this time. Nothing ventured, nothing gained.
Thank you.
We want to grow our economic development planning services. We've spoken to a consultant and they said, look, what the private sector development community needs here to facilitate industrial development of sites is you really need to show the development community where the pipes are in the ground, the broadband, the electricity. So that's not available. And here's really, if you forget everything else I said, folks, just down the road at Devon's, you have Mass Development working on Devon's, and you have 200 employees at Mass Development, a certain number of them that work on Devon's. They do the marketing and they're doing the outreach all the time. This information provided to the communities will give the communities a leg up to say, if you want industrial development, let's say you're along Route 2, along Route 190. I know this is a big deal in Winchendon and many other communities in Clinton, but telling the private sector what's already under the ground so they don't have to go out, and poke holes or look up maps. It will help to facilitate the private sector's development of land to create good paying industrial jobs. And then on the public sector side, you might be on a planning board saying, well, we want to be a part of this pick a town that you're from. And we might want that information because that might fold in with our zoning work, because we've been looking over here to do an industrial zone for a while. But with that information put together, maybe we should now finally draw the industrial zone polygon around that map with having the information available also. And then the information would be available to the private sector. And in the middle of, at the top of page 10 are the objectives, creating a site finder service. Also, so there are other parts of this to really boost the land development for manufacturing. And remember, folks, that at least in the core of the Montezuma region, we have twice as many people employed in manufacturing than any other part of the Commonwealth. It's hard to realize that when you're at the top of Mount Wachusett, nothing you see but trees, because it's a beautiful area. But those are the best paying jobs. But I feel strongly that we really need to do this. I've been on this for about 5 years. Thank you.
Stacy, do you have a question for Glenn?
I do have a question. Harvard doesn't have an industrial zone and probably won't ever. So I'm wanting to know if other rural towns in the group are going to be penalized because we're using DLTA funds to get more funds for something that won't. Are we going to lose out on DLTA funding because we don't have an industrial zone?
If we take the 50 out of the 207, there's only 157 left for DLTA. So yes, there'd be less money available. Here's the reality on the DLTA side. The DLTA is heavily subscribed, and what we're doing, we're going to issue another request for proposals for DLTA very soon. What we're seeing is that towns are dipping the well into DLTA, and we want to help everybody. We really do. But the towns, it says in our own RFP that if there's a funding source for your project and another, like planning assistance grant from Environmental Executive Office of Energy and Environmental Affairs, they'll help you with master planning chapters. So we're going to still help you find resources. So I'm so glad you asked this, Stacia, because if you're saying, well, wait a minute, we still want to get a master plan chapter. Are you saying I won't get DLTA? You may or may not. I don't know. We're having 12 to 16 projects of DLTA every year, and we're struggling with those. We're struggling with that workload. But there are so many other sources of money out there right now from the state to do master plan chapters and bylaws, like Commonwealth. It's not Commonwealth Capital, Commonwealth Compact, Community Compact Program, plus the EEA's PAG grant. So there are plenty of resources. We want to help you tap into those resources, but we also want to leverage money to do some more economic development planning that's needed for the whole region for the benefit of all. So yes, there's less. I'm not going to lie to you about that, but we can help you find other monies right now because there's money there. It's amazing.
So
I'm just wondering how many towns are
also without industrial. I mean, I know Harvard doesn't have industrial zone, but are there other towns in the region that don't have industrial zones? Or are we the only one? I mean, if we're the only one, then
there are going to be
several.
There are going to be several. This is a great question. There are going to be several that aren't going to need this. It's Petersham, it's Royalston, it's Harvard, right? For a variety of reasons. I don't know, Alan and Ashby, if you ever want an industrial zone or not. I would defer to Mr. Pease on that. So there are going to be several that just aren't set up for it. But on the yes side, Clinton, yes, Winchendon, yes, Templeton, yes, Phillipston, maybe, Athol, yes, Air, yes, Shirley, yes.
Yeah, so it's probably two-thirds versus one-third. So
I would agree with your assessment.
I'm just asking. Thanks.
So I
Veronica,
guess
you have a question?
I do. I guess on that same line, If there are fewer, lesser DLTA funds, and there are towns that would not benefit from the grant that you're throwing the DLTA money towards, could the towns that will not benefit from that funding be weighted more heavily in their requests for DLTA funding to
We could
offset
do
the
that.
50K that?
We could do that, but it's simpler to work with you as a community and say, you have a request that normally can come into DLTA, still submit it for under DLTA. But I have to tell you, more than half the requests that come in under DLTA can be funded by the State Executive Office of Energy and Environmental Affairs and the Community Compact Program. And the DLTA is oversubscribed because, and no disrespect intended, but communities are just always going to the DLTA well. I think there were 2 communities this year. One community has 3 DLTA projects. Another community has 2. And so we should make a rule also that you can only dip into the well once a year for one project. We are really being crushed by DLTA, and I think we really need to, and this is a wonderful discussion. 2 points. One, I think we need to do a strategic shift with our DLTA.
We can't hear you.
Okay, I'm sorry. One, I think we need to do a strategic shift with our DLTA to leverage it against other monies. Now, we could also, if you wanted to, use the local technical assistance money, LTA. It's the municipal assessment revenue that comes in from all the communities. So this year we're getting about 80 grand. We could take 50,000 out of that 80 grand. That's not DLTA money, but municipal assessment money. The reason I didn't put LTA in here is because if we spend LTA money on the staff, then that boosts our overhead rate. And I was trying to stay away from that. So if the commissioners say no to Glenn on the DLTA as match and say use the municipal assessment revenue as LTA, then I would take that as my direction and my order, and I would change the resolution here to LTA if you wanted to do that. And then I would just say, okay, then if this grant comes in, that our overhead is going to go up by a certain percentage. We can calculate it for the next month's meeting, because each year we'd spend 50,000 more on admin for the project. So everything's a pendulum, if you will. And I'm confident, I really am, that we can help the communities find monies to get the planning assistance grant monies. We do it every year. We wrote 4, we call them PAGs. We wrote 4 planning assistance grants this year. We're still waiting for awards for about 4 communities, I believe. So some communities are tapping into the PAG, but not a lot are tapping into PAG. I don't know how many of you are going after Community Compact and other sources right now. So there's plenty out there. And I would close by saying some of the other regional planning agencies, we all seem to use the money differently. It's fascinating. Several other communities say, okay, we're going to do one master plan for one community this year. And they take the whole allocation, they give it to one community. We've always tried to spread the love and spread the wealth. So I just wanted to throw that out there. I'm not an advocate to throw all the money at one town, because we have so many needs and we want to try to address those needs as much as humanly possible.
Any more questions of Glenn on this? One question I have on this, Glenn, we're taking 50,000 from each year on the DLTA, correct?
That's the proposal that's written, yes.
Now, the proposal that we vote tonight, if we vote tonight, if we see that the first year is $50,000 that we've taken out of DLTA, and we see it affects DLTA, in the second year, do we have to be the DLTA? Can we change it to the local technical assistance money in the second year, or does it have to?
I think the simplest thing to do to get ahead of that guy is, instead of waiting a year, is we could wordsmith this article right now to say we would use a combination of DLTA and LTA. Sorry for all the alphabet soup, folks. Right now, instead of 50,000 out of DLTA, in year one. We could do a 25-20 or a 50-50 split, 25,000 each. That way there's less of a takeout on the DLTA. And then in year two, we could do the same thing. Of the 50,000, 25,000 out of DLTA, 25,000 out of the LTA. I just want, what I said before about the overhead rate, that will goose the overhead rate. And we've been struggling with trying to keep our overhead rate low. I'll take the direction as, whatever you'd like us to do. We can make it 100% LTA. That's perfectly fine. You're the decision makers. We are the implementers. So please, whatever you'd like us to do, let us know. I just feel strongly that we need to move forward on this particular project.
Absolutely. Question though, on the LTA, if we use 25 and 25, what do you think that would raise our LTA rate to? From to?
If you call us tomorrow, we can do the calculation. I'm not sure right now. We'd have to run the numbers. I'm just not sure. It would only take about 15 minutes, but I think we need to look at that and maybe a couple of other variables just to see what it would do. I'm not sure sitting here right now.
But on this one, we need to strike tonight, as I understand it from the.
Now, I'm not going to say we need to strike tonight. So if you want to defer action to the October meeting, I'm going to live. The Earth is still going to spin. We're okay. The issue here becomes this is a lot of money. It sounds like a lot of money, 500 million.
Yeah.
But in the grand scheme, with 50 states and a bunch of territories, people are clawing all over themselves. So I think we should strike earlier than later. So I would ask the commissioner's indulgence if you would consider, massaging the language to say, okay, Glenn, the 50,000 is too much for our blood. Cut that in half for DLTA. Make it a 25-25. Or something else. If you come up with a better idea, I'm all ears.
Oh, Stacy, you have a question?
Yep, just a question. You're just we don't take any money, putting in money as a good faith gesture so that they will not match, but give us more. Like, we're putting some of our money on the table so that in hopes that they will give us more. We weren't actually even required to give them 50,000, right?
We are not required to match this. In the federal law, it says you have to match these 20% to their 80%. However, under the Build Back Better Act, not legislation anymore, but the act, it says that applicants are not required to match the 20% right now. However, it's going to be so competitive. I'm concerned that if we don't throw some cash on the table, that would be less competitive than other grant applicants, and that's my concern as a grant writer.
Yeah. Now, Glenn, I have a quick question in regards to that. Kind of follow a bit on Stacy. Do we have, in other words, we'd like to get this application in, but do we have to decide tonight where the 50,000 is coming for, or we just have to decide that we will give 50,000?
We just have to decide. We just have to vote tonight that we'll match 20% to their 80%, and that in the resolution it should identify the sources. The wordsmithing could be something like 100,000 over 2 years from DLTA and or LTA, but the language should be in here somewhat. But we'll, that says we will match the 100,000 out of the following two sources, one, the other, or both. If we want to wordsmith that, then that would be perfectly acceptable. It would give the staff enough flexibility to deal with issuing another request for proposals for the DLTA program, making sure that everybody gets some love under the DLTA program.
Yeah.
And then I want to make sure that, because when the audit report is out every March and the overhead rate, he says with the overhead rate, you're all looking at me like, well, why is the overhead rate so high? So I'm just trying to balance a number of variables. That's all.
Yeah. Personally, I'd like to see this move forward. And I like what you had suggested about wordsmithing it so where it comes from, but we don't have to definitely decide tonight where it comes from. And you can get those figures on what different amounts would do to our overhead rate and present it at the next meeting, but maybe approve this tonight with funds to be determined, for lack of a better word. You can say where they're coming from, but either LTA or DLTA.
We don't need to be so specific about the 50,000 and the 50,000. We can just eliminate those 50s we could just leave 20%, leave the $100,000 in there, and leave the two sources in there, period. And that would give us some flexibility to at least move the application forward. You know, I'd like to see the application get submitted before the next meeting, and we can provide all that information about the overhead rate impact. And if you decide, no, we're just not going to take a vote until the October meeting, which is whatever it was, it's in here somewhere. That's fine too. You let us know what you want us to do. You've heard my concerns, and these have been great questions about, well, not everybody receives a benefit from that over here. I'm just asking people to take off. I'm going to be blunt. I was a local official. I'm just asking people to take off the local official hat and say, in here, we've got to do what's right for the agency, for the good of all. Unfortunately, yes, some of the small towns aren't going to get a benefit from, you know, having an industrial analysis done of water and sewer pipes when you don't have water and sewer, as an example. I would hope that, you know, people would understand that people in your town may work in these industrial parks in the future, and that would be the long-term benefit. We're talking about a 100-year benefit here overall. But again, I still feel very strongly that there are so many DLTA requests that come in that, and there's a sentence in the DLTA RFP. It says if you submitted a request and you didn't go to town meeting or the state for a grant, the MRPC can deny their request. We've never denied one. We've never done that. We never pulled that out. I'm not that much of a bad guy, I think. So I'm just trying to do something for the good of all. But we would work hard with the towns that wouldn't benefit directly. Absolutely. I know Karen would and I would.
Okay.
That's a pledge we would commit right here.
Okay, very good. Any other questions, or does anybody want to move the resolution with some variations? Or
Roger's got two hands up, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Roger. Okay, take two hands.
The question I have is, where does the $400,000 number come from?
The EDA in this grant will fund grants of $500,000 to $1 million or $500,000 to $5 million. We're on the low side. So I took the 500 million, about a total request, if you will, and I backed into the numbers. I tried to, you know, guesstimate some of the staff costs that would be needed. This is primarily a GIS project with work with planning and development staff, with some transportation staff involved as well. So it was it's my gut for past experience for looking at some of the costing of these things to have an idea of what some of these cost. So that's where the 400 plus the 100 came from. We could make it $1 million if you want, but then that would goose the match rate up. So Roger, that's real. I was trying to be more reasonable at $500,000 or 400,000.
Okay, any other questions or comments, or anybody want to move a resolution? Yes.
This is Stacy. I would be okay to move the resolution as amended to say the 20% match from either DLTA or LTA sources, and take out the specifics of the 50,000 to be determined. So moved as amended.
Do I have a second on that?
Second, Alan Pease.
Alan Pease. So we have a motion and a second on the floor. Do we have any more discussion? Not seeing any hands or hearing anything, I will call the resolution. Again, going to the offices. Bob Schwartz.
Aye.
Matthew Brenner.
Aye.
Jonathan Krantz.
Aye.
Laura Schifrin.
While you're doing those.
That was an aye, Laura? Okay, Alan Pease.
Aye.
I call the show myself, aye. Jacqueline Doherty.
Aye.
John Palacio.
John Slupsiak, aye.
Roger Hoyt,
Aye.
Stacy Donahue,
Aye.
and Veronica Kell.
Aye.
So the resolution is moved as amended unanimously. Okay, very good. Glenn, back to you on 4.6.6, if I'm not mistaken.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. I hope I can be heard okay. I'll project better this time. So Laura, a couple of meetings ago, asked for, and maybe other commissioners, I'm sorry if there were other commissioners, say, hey, what's our attendance rate, with televideo conferencing equipment and so on. So at the top of page 11, Holly Ford, Administrative Manager, assembled the attendance data of each committee attending monthly meetings of the commissioners for the calendar years of 14 through 21. Main takeaways here are: 1, more communities have been attending monthly commissioners meetings since the MRPC relocated its office from Fitchburg to Leominster, and due to the use of the televideo conferencing technology since April 2020. That was our first meeting after COVID hit about March. 2, during the pandemic, with the aid of the televideo conferencing technology, there has been a slight increase in attendance of the commissioners at monthly meetings, but for the period studied, we've reached our highest level of attendance so far in 2021, which is a good thing. I'll hit the next page. Kayla, if you'd show the graph on page 12, please. That's the raw data that shows, and that's, again, the handout's online and it was emailed. So there was an uptick. If you look at 2017, there was a jump from 2016 of 7.67 to 2017 at 9.7, and the trend is, by the way, this isn't a straight line trend on these. These are 2-period moving averages. So you take the 2 periods from the prior 2 years and you average and you move up to the next one. But overall, the trends are good. The trends are up. If you go to the next page, Kayla, please, page 13. This just shows the percentage increase year over year. I'm not going to say this. There's a lot of 3 bullets above that, above the graph. Kayla, if you'd be so kind to go to page 14. We'll wind down with the, let's see, page 14, average, attendance by the municipalities by month during the pandemic, April through August, obviously, and you can see that, there's a slight trend upward. You go 10, 12, 11, 8, 9, 9, 9, so on and so forth, to 13, 12, 11, 11 in May, June, July, and August. So these are really good things. I think we're attending a lot more meetings online than we could if we still had to leave the house to say, oh, I'm just too tired for that one. Oh, no, I can zoom in for that. If you go to the next page, please, Kayla, 15. What was interesting to me, the data, and I'll close by saying this, that at the top of page 15, there are more communities that are participating in monthly meetings overall. As a credit to the communities and the individuals appointed to the commission, the participation rate of our municipalities has been steadily increasing since 2014. So we talked about the televid and how it's more, but it's interesting to see the actual participation rate of the total number of local jurisdictions, of which there are 23, has been increasing. So in 2014, the participation rate, how many communities attend a meeting on the average for a year, stood at 38%. The rate rose to almost 47%, so almost 9% into August of 2021. So that's a credit to all the commissioners here and not present. So I think you should all take your right hand or left hand, do this, and pat yourselves on the back, because I think we can't do it with each other right now, or most of us anyway. And the last thing I would say, Mr. Chairman, on the paragraph in the bottom of 15, there's a correlation between commissioners attending meetings and their respective cities and towns receiving more services from the commission staff. The common denominator is communication. The more local officials attend regional meetings, the greater the number of conversations between the commissioners and the employees of the RPA, which leads to more services. And I think you all know that. This is preaching to the choir. That's the last thing I have for the admin report. Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry it took so long. We got a lot done, and I appreciate all of your support for everything this evening. I truly do. Thank you.
Okay, my pleasure. Thank you very much, Glenn. Any questions of Glenn before we move on to the status report? Not seeing or hearing any, I will move on to the status report. As usual, I read through it. It's getting late, so I'll really skim through it tonight. But I do want to note, if people have seen the status report, we seem to have a bit of a new format. As I understand from Glenn, Holly has done this, and she will be fine tuning it in the next month, if I'm not mistaken. So I like the new format so far, Holly. Thank you very much. Okay, very good. If not, we'll start off. And again, please speak up, and I will be going through real quick because we're running a little late. Section 5.1, Geographic Information Systems. You have a different list here of data applications, Air Parcel, Crocker Pond, Lunenburg Conservation, Royalston Parcel Updates, Townsend Parcel Updates, ADA Compliance Checklist. Then we move on to Section 305.400, Combined Planning Grants, Climate Change Report, Data Collection. Number 3, Fitchburg Corridor Study, GIS Mapping and Analysis. Number 4, 5, Intersection Analysis. 6, Regional Pedestrian Planning, Walkability Studies. Then we move on to Combined Planning Grants, which is another section, MART Human Services Transportation, MART Intercity Shuttle Map Update, MART Route Calculations, and GIS staff updates the route calculations. Well, if nothing there, we go on to the next section, Sterling Complete Streets. Then we have PAG Sterling Hub Athol, Sterling Master Plan Maps, Haywood Community Health Assessment. It's a project update here. DLTA, Ashburnham Zoning Maps, 2, Air Form-Based Code Build-Out, 3, Hubbardston Master Plan. This is all under the DLTA. 4, North Lancaster 40R Smart Growth Overlay District. Then we go into another section, EDA Year 3 of 3/41/2021 to 3/31/2020. Green Communities. Nothing there. Move on to 5.2, Planning and Development. Subsection, Royalston Green Communities. EPA Brownfields. Affordable Access Regional Coordination. NEC Tufts Grants. Montechusett Age Friendly Project. Grant award there, 75 grand. And it gives a status update. EDA COVID-19. Grant award amount, 400,000. Most of the tasks are completed, some abandoned, and pretty well moving along there. This is Chris McDermott's. He's the Economic Development Manager. Then we move on to the next subsection, which is Sterling Complete Streets. $38,839 grant. Hubbardston Green Communities. Lunenburg Green Communities. Shirley CDBG CV. Planning Assistance Grants. Another Planning Assistance Grant. The 2 grants there listed. Looks like the same, but we'll go on. Athol status report on that. Hubbardston 18,000 status report there. Sterling 40,000 status report. Then we move on to the next subsection, Haywood Community Health Assessment. That's a 28,000 contract award, and that contract ends the end of the month. Status report there. DLTA year 14, grant amount 207,000 and change. We got Ashburnham. Got 3 of them there for Ashburnham. Then Air, Harvard, Harvard again for another study. Hubbardston, Lancaster 40R District Development, Leominster Open Space and Recreation Plan Mapping, Neshoba Regional Greenways. And the status report there. Then we have Petersham under that, Royalston, Shirley, Sterling, These all have status reports in this. So Townsend. Then we move on to another subsection, Templeton Green Communities. Status, Karen is assisting Templeton, etc. Health Alliance Clinton Community Health Assessment. That's a $33,000 plus contract, and that ends the end of the month. Then we have EDA year 3 of 3, grant award 70 grand. That goes in March of next year. And we have status reports, and task 2 of that is provide municipalities technical assistance preparing communities and economic development grant requests. In other words, Chris is on that. And that's why I got to put him on full time. He seems to, task 3, task 4, maintain the region said. Lancaster hazard mitigation, 25 grand there. And MEC, Massachusetts Enterprise Center. Glenn covered that. Then we go into transit, which is 5.3, and subsections combined planning grant. 1, supportive transportation planning operations under that. 2, technical assistance to BART. 3, bus stop ADA accessible evaluation. This is Brad's department. Transportation, 5.4, transportation, combined planning grant. Massachusetts Joint Transportation Committee. I guess they're not meeting this month. Next meeting will be on October 13th. And then the MPO,
Mr. Chair?
they didn't meet in August, so they'll be meeting next Wednesday on the 15th.
Actually,
And
Mr.
then
Chair,
you'll find, yes.
sorry to interrupt. The
Oh,
MPO
no, go
meeting,
ahead, please.
the MPO meeting for September 15th has been canceled, so the next one will be in October, and notices will go out 1 week beforehand. So there is no MPO
very good.
meeting this month.
Okay, so we didn't have one in August, and we don't have one this month, but we'll be starting in October.
Hopefully,
Correct?
yes.
Hopefully, yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Very good. Thank you very much. Okay, Unified Planning Works Program. Support of 3C. And then under that Unified Works Program, 2 is Environmental Justice and Title VI. 3, Regional Demographics and Model. 4, GIS Mapping and Analysis. And please, step right up, come right in, interrupt me. I love it. 5, Data Collection and Analysis Program. 6, Pavement Management Systems. 7, Intersection Analysis. 8, Walkability Study. And then the Fitchburg Corridor Study. And Climate Change Program. We see a lot of that happening. Regional Pedestrian Plan. Excuse me. ADA PROW Database. Whoops. I'm sorry, pressed the wrong button. Got to get me back here. Okay, pavement management, intersection analysis, walkability, Fitchburg Corridor Study, climate change, regional pedestrian plan. Now we're back to where I was. Roundabouts in the MRPC region. Seeing more of them every day. Bus stop ADA accessible evaluation. And that brings us to the end. Again, please contact Brad Harris in regards to anything transportation, or George Snow, Sherry Bean, all of the above. And we come to new business, section 6. Do we have any new business, Glenn, or anybody else that would like to speak to it?
Actually, I don't have new business. This is Stacy Donahue. I have 2 questions. Sorry. On the climate change report that you talked about up above that was completed, is there going to be a link to that on the MRPC website? Or how are we finding that information?
Once the the report is finalized, which should be by the end of this month, we will post it and make it available to everybody. So it will be up on our website. It's sort of draft right now. We're just finalizing it, and it should be ready by the end of the month.
Awesome, great. And then my other question was, at the very, very beginning of the meeting, you talked about an $80,000 grant that was available for energy planning assistance, regional energy planning assistance. How do we apply for that, and when is that going to be? When do we know, and where can we apply?
I would have to defer to Glenn on that one. I'm not sure what that program involves.
Okay.
I'm so sorry. I had to talk to Laura for a few minutes. Well, I apologize. I missed the question. Could you restate the question, please?
At the beginning of the meeting, you talked about an $80,000 grant that you were just awarded. MRPC was just awarded for energy projects. I was just wondering when we can apply for that and how.
So that's a great question for Karen Chapman, who's been running the program for the past 3 or 4 years. She's on vacation this week. That's why she's not here at the meeting tonight. I can't answer that question. I don't have that information. She is back Monday. So I can email her and ask her to get out to everybody, or you can email, however you want to do that. I just don't have an answer, and I don't really want to BS anybody. So I can only say that I just started signing the grant application. It's for 2 years, the application. I didn't sign the application. I just signed the contract for services. That'll go back to the state tomorrow. And then my gut is every time I sign a state contract, we're usually initiating the first tasks or procedures within 30 days of the signature date. So my gut tells me it's going to be pretty soon, but I don't have dates. I'm so sorry. But we can get them.
Oh, that's okay.
Okay.
Yeah, if she could just let everybody know, so that way we know when and when to apply, because we definitely have stuff.
I'm going to email her right now.
We have needs, that's for sure. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Stacy. And item 7, we come down to adjournment. And if nobody has any objection, I will call this meeting adjourned by consensus at 8:27 p.m. And thank you, everybody, for participating.
Thank you all. Good night.
Good night.
Good night, everyone. Thank you.